Welcome to the Swinging Lights. Today, Chris and I discuss ego. Enjoy. All right, Chris, what are we talking about today?
Let's go through the brain roulette. I haven't thought till this moment. Did you have something?
No.
Okay. Um,
That's your job.
ego.
Ego?
I just thought of one. Arrogance, ego. I don't. That's pulled off the top of my head. I swear to God.
Just ego. Do you have
Yeah.
one?
No.
Is yours large?
No. I took mushrooms and I'm free of all that now.
You realize you're just particles?
I've been watching this sort of shit this week. Have you listened to any of Jim Carrey's recent interviews?
No, I have not.
He's constantly talking about nothing is real and nothing exists, and even him thinking Jim Carrey existed was an ego. The guy's out of his damn mind. I think I've been realizing that more and more lately, unfortunately, because I mean, what's not to like about Jim Carrey, but the actual dude's bonked. He's
How do you know
constantly.
he's not just in character for a
Maybe
movie?
he is, but did you watch that Netflix thing about him doing Andy Kaufman?
Oh, yeah. Yeah, that,
And
that shit's
everybody
freaking
around
wild,
him
man.
thought he was a complete asshole because he thought he was Andy Kaufman for 2 years and or however long it took him to film that. And he's running around saying, no, I disappeared and Andy Kaufman took over my body. And
So that was him talking as a person. He wasn't in character anymore and really thought Andy Kaufman took over his
the
body?
whole time he was filming Man on the Moon, he said Andy Kaufman took over his body,
Huh.
which is kind of some bullshit because I listened to like this interview with Andy Kaufman had this whole thing where a wrestler and him put on this whole staged fight because it's something funny. You remember any Andy Kaufman stuff?
No,
He's
no, I
talking.
wasn't familiar with him at all until I watched that documentary.
Oh my gosh! Well, Man on the Moon's a good movie. It's a decent movie, but um, it's not remembered like some super classic or anything like that. But it was pretty darn good. And I knew Andy Kaufman before that. I'd followed all that stuff, and it was really funny because he was just kind of like a celebrity. He was almost kind of like the first Tom Green
Mm-hmm.
or the Jackass guys, you know what I mean? The first guy who was, instead of just being a comedian, he was just kind of outraging people,
Mm-hmm.
like Eric Andre is now, or something like that. But he was on Saturday Night Live and all that stuff, and just had this weird way of being. But then suddenly, out of nowhere, he just decided to go down to, I think it was somewhere in Tennessee or Memphis or something, and start challenging women to wrestling.
What?
like WWE wrestling, and he wanted to be what they call like a face, which is like the bad guy in wrestling,
Uh-huh.
but he was just a skinny guy, so he started talking about he would wrestle women. He was the world's first champion intergender wrestler,
How
and he'd
long
get
ago was this?
oh dude, it was like the 70s, and
Shit, man. You
he'd
gotta
get
send
out.
me that. I want to see it.
He'd get out and he well that's what Man on the Moon's about, but it's about the whole thing and it's Jim Carrey acting it, but it really did have a whole thing, and you can watch well, I'll get to that in a second. He would go challenge women in the audience to beat him, and he'd just be an asshole and he'd flip off the crowd and yell at her and get them all pissed off at him. And he was like a famous Saturday Night Live guy. So like, and all these like Southern people just thought it was like an asshole Hollywood person coming down and like insulting them and all this stuff. And he'd really insult the whole audience. He'd do stuff, be like, I'm gonna teach you about something you never heard of. It's called soap. What you do with it, and then he'd challenge women to fighting, and
Oh,
then the
shit.
women the women would come up and he'd beat them. Like he'd beat the shit out of them. He wouldn't like it wasn't even like a joke. Like he'd beat him bad. And he'd be like, "I'm the undefeated intergender intergender wrestler, you know what I mean? And so finally, it
Oh
all ended
shit.
up culminating into this other male wrestler was gonna got pissed off at him and was gonna fight him, and then he's talking shit to this male wrestler, and they're talking back and forth, and then they ended up finally meeting in the ring, and this male wrestler like just beat the crap out of him real fast, like just did a couple of tombstones to him real quick and knocked him out, and then a while later, and you can still watch this whole clip, it's pretty amazing. They re-met on David Letterman, and on David Letterman they acted like the feud was still going and all that sort of stuff, and they ended up fighting on David Letterman, and David Letterman didn't know that that was going to happen. He thought they were supposed to be there to make up, you know what I
Oh
mean?
really?
And they kept fighting on David Letterman, and Andy Kaufman started swearing at the guy and all that sorts of stuff on live on television, you know?
Uh-huh.
Ended up being just like this big thing, but that was Andy Kaufman's whole world. His whole world was to cause a situation of, did you see that? Was that real? Did that really happen? Like that was his whole thing, and
Right.
always kind of leave people wondering,
So kind of like Borat before
is he
Borat,
real or not?
kind of
Yeah,
kind of
yeah, yeah. He
trolling
was the first
people and just
Brat.
getting
He
that
was the first
shock.
Green, and like so many things in history that where the people who come after are pretty good, but when you go back to the original, they're almost always like just the savant. Like he's just the best at doing these crazy things and leaving people wondering if did that really? Because that wasn't just he did a million different little things like
Right.
that, you know. And it just left people going like, was that real? Like he never said he wanted to be a comedian or anything. He just wanted to leave people in a state of, did I just see that? Did we like just a feeling of you just saw something that you can't believe you just saw, you know?
Right.
And
I think that takes like such a level of just ownership, right? Like you just do it and own it 100%. No apologies, nothing.
it
You're like,
was
this is what
hilarious.
I'm doing. I'm going to do it and take it or leave it, you know?
Yeah. And a lot of his stuff people didn't like really understand it and all that stuff. Speaking of which, little tangential but the same subject, you should watch the Red Letter Media guys' YouTube video this week on Freddie Got Fingered. They kind of open a new perspective on it too, that maybe Tom Green with that movie really meant to, and it's even hidden in throughout the whole movie, to just piss off the money of a studio and waste it. And he even has it in like it's all throughout the movie that that's what he's doing. He's for sure just
In what movie?
Freddie Got Fingered.
I haven't seen that. I know nothing about that. Back up a
So
bit
it was
and
Tom Green's. The reason why I brought it up is because Tom Green's so much like Andy Kaufman.
okay.
And you remember back in the early, like 20 years ago, he was totally doing Andy Kaufman stuff, and people thought he was weird. And then he was in a couple movies, and then he ended up getting his own big movie break on his own.
Uh-huh.
And he just dropped this bomb, like it totally bombed. Everybody thought it sucked, it wasn't funny, and all that sort of stuff. And that's why you probably don't know the movie, because it just totally bombed, and he was huge. He was coming up huge, and then when that bomb happened, it's like he disappeared. But he's still around now, but he just moved to internet and stuff like that. But what's the Red Letter Media guys pointed out is that whole movie has lace throughout it. They think him telling everybody that he knows on purpose that he's bombing it. Like he's bombing that movie. Like the whole thing's like the story of the movie is he's given money to make his art, and he just pisses it off in a stupid way.
Uh-huh.
And the whole thing is like a meta thing of him saying, "Screw you, Hollywood, I don't want to make your dumb movie, and this is stupid," you know, and just lighting a fire on his own career, you know, and they think
Huh.
it's like actually really super genius, according to them. Some people still just think it was just pure stupidity, but I think they had a pretty good point. I think Tom Green purposefully and intentionally and even left messages all throughout that movie that I'm just lighting a dumpster fire to the money the studio gave me, you know,
What
and
was his purpose in doing that? Do we know?
to be an Andy Kaufman like person, you
Just to
know,
do like a giant
to go
troll
through
thing to a
of a shit film and just totally kind of rip on how stupid comedy films are and all that stuff. And Kaufman would have been the same way for sure. You would have done something that left you kind of going like, did they really just do that? Why did he do that? I don't even
right.
understand that, you know. And then 20 years later, it almost makes more sense and it's funnier. And but in the moment, everybody's like, what, really, what, you know.
Huh.
Anyway, I listened to this whole. It's not in the Netflix movie. I listened to this interview with that wrestler dude who did the final thing with Andy.
Uh-huh.
He's like, they ended up hiring the same dude to act himself in the Jim Carrey movie, right? So he played himself in the Jim Carrey movie on the David Letterman show, and the guy was like, Jim, you know that Andy and I were friends, right? Like we knew like so Jim thinks Andy took over his body, but then when Jim's version of Andy meets that wrestler, he thinks they're antagonists. You know what I mean?
Right. They're not
They
being
were in on
friends.
it. Yeah, they were in the whole thing was their spectacle. It wasn't just
Right.
Andy's spectacle. And when the cameras were off and stuff, they talked to each other and planned stuff and did the stuff, and if that was really Andy in Jim's body, he wouldn't be the camera on guy all the time with his friend. You know
Right.
what I mean?
No, that makes
So,
sense.
so
So
obviously
that's
Jim
just
Carrey.
straight up like, yeah, you're full of shit.
Oh,
You're just an
shit.
actor.
Yeah.
I think I fell asleep halfway through that Netflix special because there's a lot of it I don't remember. I do
Yeah,
that a
sure.
lot. If I lay down to watch a movie, I'm out, no matter how good
I
it
don't
is.
think that one would be worth watching unless you really knew the Andy Kaufman movie and the Andy Kaufman story. But then watching that, it's brought going all the way back. It's brought us around to Jim Carrey's The Looney Tunes, and I didn't really know he was so much of Looney Tunes. But there's a bunch of weird stuff too. Like he just recently had a girlfriend commit suicide, and supposedly like he was supplying her all the drugs and all that stuff. And not to get into conspiracy theories of that, but then he goes and like literally like for the past 2 years, every interview he's done, he's been like kind of crazy eyed, like there is no Jim Carrey. That's an ego. That's an ego trying to think that it is something on this earth and there's nothing. It's all just nothing. It's a big parade of nothing. You know,
Uh huh.
he
I
thinks
didn't
he's
hear about
this.
the suicide thing.
Yeah, it's weird. And it's I think he's trying to portray that he's had a complete Buddhist ego death.
And you
And
don't think that
it's
this is
a
related to a
psychotic
movie?
breakdown.
You don't
What?
think it's related to a movie he might be in?
No, I
Or
think
do you
it's a
think he's
psychotic.
really just losing it?
I think he's losing it. um, It'd be hard to keep it together being that famous no matter what, but maybe it's something else. I can't be the ultimate judge, but we just went through that whole tangent because they were talking about ego, and I didn't even know we were going to talk about ego or that. This is how you podcast. Um, is ego bad? Do you think? I think
I
Jim
think,
Carrey's acting like it is.
yeah, I think there's multiple facets. Is that the word? That go into ego. I think ego on some levels can be very good, and on some levels it can be very bad. I think too much ego leads to bad places sometimes, and too little, you kind of fuck yourself up a bit. Like it's kind of a fine line, right? Like you want to have enough ego to accomplish and have confidence in yourself and your abilities and the things you want to pursue, but you don't want to have so much to where everybody around you thinks you're a dick,
Yeah,
you know? But if you don't have enough, you're also kind of annoying because you're a fucking schlub that doesn't have any self-confidence or faith in yourself to go get it and get after it. Does that make sense?
for sure.
I mean, that's kind of how I look at it. It's you got to have it's a fine line to walk, and I don't know how really super famous people don't have just giant egos all the time. Like anytime a real famous person comes across as still being grounded, I find that like extremely shocking. I mean, when you're walking around, you can't even go anywhere without people knowing who you are and just praising you and wanting to be around you and take your picture and talk to you. And it's just like, how do you not have a huge
I
ego in
think
that situation? Like, look, I've conquered the world.
I
Everybody
think
knows who I
again
am.
with anything, maybe the older and more established you are, by the time you get famous, the easier it is to keep grounded. I don't know how a child star, one that even stays famous, it might even be harder because like some of them go off the rails, but one that stays famous their whole life, I mean, that's just such a different life. Like I don't know how you'd keep sane in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah,
But
there's a lot of young people who get famous, and just kind of blow it all, and their whole lives are kind of fucked up. But then you see guys come on the stage later in life, and they just seem to handle it better. They're more mature and ready for it.
Well, it is kind of overlooked sometimes that every once in a while, the child star does. I don't know that they stay grounded. I mean, they're forever in an altered world, but
Give me an
every once in a
example of
while, a
one
child
that.
star does go the distance of becoming like still a somewhat famous adult. I mean, Ron Howard,
Yeah,
uh,
that's true. Ron
uh,
Howard, Elijah Wood seems like he's got his shit together.
Elijah Wood. There's a couple. There's some right now who seem to be transitioning, or like if anything, I don't know if she's gonna be ultimately good or not, or if she's still putting on an act. But like Miley Cyrus seems to be like pulling it together in some ways, although that might be a PR move, you know. Um,
Yeah, but
but
she
yeah,
seemed to kind of go off the rails for a minute there, didn't
she's
she?
off the rails, but I think that was calculated too, because all those little Disney stars have to go through a "I'm an adult," type.
Or
Um,
maybe it was a power move on her to just cut away from all that stuff and start pursuing her
I
own
think it is,
thing.
but I also think PR people help. I, every single Disney star has some. Now I'm a sexy adult move in their 20s. It's like a move that you see them decide to take. Like now I'm 21.
That's
See it
bizarre.
with the Jonas Brothers or I don't even remember all their names, but even back in the day, like Britney Spears or Christina Aguilera, like every single one of them has to have like now I'm naughty and sexy, and even I think Taylor Swift's even doing it right now,
Right.
and I think it's calculated. It's like I need to be transforming myself to seem like a full naughty adult person, and then they pull themselves out to the other side, and like now I'm going to be classy again. And I think some of it's concocted for sure. But
So weird. What a weird world to live in and to grow up in. Guess
yeah,
Michael Jackson's a good example of one that went south, yeah. Like he was a freaking child star, and I mean the Jackson 5 was so damn good. I loved the Jackson 5. And then even
and
early
then
Michael Jackson was amazing, and then he just fucking went off the rails, man.
yeah, I mean, yeah, I definitely like how nutty he went for sure had to do with how much he was in the public eye and that just really affecting him and somewhat not having a childhood. And then he wanted to be an eternal child, but I don't know. Macaulay Culkin's like up in the air. I don't know what's up with that dude. Like sometimes he does some good stuff, and then sometimes he seems as nutty as ever. But
Oh, what's
uh,
that other kid's name that was in Sixth Sense and
oh,
AI? He's like, he
you know,
still looks like a kid.
yeah, he's got because
What?
he's
What's
kind of
his
chubby
name? What's his
too.
damn name?
Um,
Oh my God, I'm so bad at names.
Haley Joel Osment.
There it is.
He
He's like a
he's.
forever child actor because he'll
I think
always
he's
look like
trying
a
to
kid.
be. I think he's trying to be a character actor. He might get back in ways by accepting being a character actor. But
But I mean, he
um,
seems like he's kept it together.
yeah, but he's not gonna be like a. Well, I mean, Jason Bateman. I mean,
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
he was a child star, and now he's an A-lister, really again. But he went through a long spell of not being anything. I remember,
He was in Teen Wolf too.
yeah,
Do you remember
I
that
remember
shit?
one time. I remember like 15, 20 years ago, him going on a late night show, and I was watching it. He got on and he was complaining because I know he wasn't. He wasn't. It was pre-Arrested Development, which was really his big comeback. And I remember him complaining that like if Hollywood was like a merit thing, he'd done so many things that he should be the top of the world right now, because because he'd just been in the game for 30 years and here he still was just kind of not anywhere.
Right.
And then Arrested Development hit and he did become huge again. But I remember that. I remember him complaining about how much work he'd put into it and how that doesn't really translate to success in that world. But
But in a way, it kind of does.
well, it later did for him,
Right.
but this was
So
pre it re-hitting. But I mean, you got. I mean, Elijah Wood's kind of gotten A-listed at times, and then who knows? We might see Macaulay Culkin become something huge again, or I don't know. Who gives a shit?
I doubt.
But the reason we were talking about that is because like is more just the interest on how it jacks your ego. You know,
Right.
like um how we were talking on some of our other podcasts about moderation and how that's the most important thing in drugs and all that stuff, but it's obviously the most important thing in all sorts of facets of your life, especially ego. Because it is true, if you don't have some, you're you're just as jacked. You know, you gotta have some ego just to even like have good boundaries, to have good limits, to have expectations of yourself, or to even have not be exploited in certain ways because you feel like you should just be some stooge or a slave to somebody else. But
Mm-hmm.
so I guess to pull it into music, I think no matter what, to get like a band together and get 5 guys and put what you wrote up on a stage, there's ego in that, you know. First, you have to have the ego to say, "Hey, everybody in the band, pay attention to this thing that I'm doing,"
Right.
and we all do the same thing. And then there's got to be a level of ego that says, "Now I'm going to get on a stage and yell that at people into a microphone,
Mm-hmm.
and feel they all should listen." There's even ego of talking into a microphone on a podcast, feeling like what you have to say is worth listening to at all.
Mm-hmm.
So, being creative in any way, shape, or form demands some ego, and the problem with that is all the years that we've been in it, we know for sure, especially as you get older, and there's so many other things to do in the world, for people to really stick around being artistic and creating and that stuff, they kind of got to have whacked out egos. Like more often than not, their egos are in overdrive. You know, to
Well, do you
keep.
think it's straight ego, or do you think it's a desire to be creative?
Well, both. I mean, we've definitely come across both. You know,
Mm-hmm.
it's obviously different levels on each person, but I mean, if you go to any local music scene, or if you even just try to start forming bands, and maybe if you're just going to meet up with people in your local area, and say you go on like a 2-year endeavor of I'm going to form a band and put ads on Craigslist or something and start playing with a bunch of different people, you are going to meet some egomaniacs. You
Mm-hmm.
know, there's no way that you're going to dodge it. You know,
Right.
you're gonna get called by an egomaniac. You're gonna go audition for an egomaniac. You're gonna get an egomaniac in your group. It's in the scene. It's part of it. It's part and parcel. I'm sure even worse as you go up ladders of success. You know, but it's such a weird thing because to really create as a band, there has to be such a level of having ego and dropping ego.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
done right.
the balancing act. You know, I was when we were in Herc's studio the other day, we kind of talked about the different ways in which bands can actually function. You either
Hmm.
have to have a dictator, or he said a consensus. Everybody has to be 100% stoked about what goes into the song or it doesn't go in.
Yeah,
Anything else
be
doesn't
really
really
hard
pan
there.
out or work well, right? But,
Hmm.
you know, having a band leader and somebody that's calling all the shots and everything, there's a level of having enough ego to do that, but not enough to where like you can't allow creativity from any other member in the band, right? Because that becomes problematic.
Yeah.
When the rest of the band doesn't feel like they have any sort of input at all, it can be hard.
I think especially in really famous acts when that starts happening too, that one person who calls all the shots can't help but get a big head and think, when I do all the work, I should get all the money. You know, I think,
Mm-hmm.
I bet you there's no time in history where the one who's a dictator then spreads out the winnings evenly, you know.
Mm-hmm.
But for them to even be able to do what they're doing, they need the other people.
Right.
So it's ultimately a dickheadish way of being. But if you play in the music scene long enough, you'll find out that the guy who thinks they're God's gift to music is everywhere at every
Mm-hmm.
level, and um, they really suck to work with. But maybe there's some people who are passive enough that they kind of like not having that on their head, because
Sure.
along with the ego, there's a vulnerability to being the one who this song is on my head. You know what I mean?
You're the only one to judge, basically. The rest kind of gets a free pass.
Yeah, and if you're the one writing and arranging all the stuff, it all also kind of falls on your head of if that sucked, it was you that sucked. You know? And
Mm-hmm.
some people want to pass the buck on sucking. You know, they can forever say, "Well, that was his idea." Bleh. You know,
Seems suboptimal to be in that
there's not a
position.
lot of ownership in it. You know,
Mm-hmm.
but I definitely know there's people who want to bail out on the responsibility of taking a creative idea. You know, and being the one, but it's scary. I mean, you know how it is. I mean, our next album coming, our first album, we kind of just pumped it out because we were sick of not having an album out. So we just, man, I mean, how many days did we record?
I think we did that one. We
Two.
did all the parts kind of like within one
Well, we
week,
recorded
maybe
a million.
two.
We did it a million times over years, but it kept falling apart. So we finally said, just play it and drop it, you know, and that's how we did it. And that only took a few days, and we just kind of took a bunch of songs that I kind of had floating around and that you'd helped in and put out, but they were all definitely my lyrics. But now on this new album coming out, you got a bunch of lyrics coming out,
Mm-hmm.
and I think you've felt that there's pressure in that. You suddenly feel naked a little bit,
It's
especially.
scary, man. I think lyrically, it's scary. Um, Partially because I know how I tend to judge lyrics when I'm actually paying attention to them. Like if they're super on the nose or cheesy, I have a tough time with them. And I think a lot of people pay more attention to the singer and how they sing it and the lyrics and stuff than just all the other things. We've had that discussion before. So yeah, I'm more scared about lyrics and singing than I am about playing bass. Like I'm confident enough in my bass playing that I don't really worry about it too much anymore, and I don't tend to feel like, oh, I'm being judged by all the bass players in the world. I just don't really give a shit. But vocally, I feel like that's where I have the most self doubt. But the more you do it and the better it gets, that gets better. Hopefully, one day I'll just be free of that worry and just say what I feel.
I've only felt like fleeting moments of embarrassment or self doubt of stuff, and then I really quickly get to fuck it. But I definitely know that, like, for somebody, just because I feel that for a few moments, that feeling could last. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
Um, um, it really is a naked feeling and a naked thing. And maybe, well, not a lot of people could understand what it is unless they did write a song and play it in front of a bunch of people, you know? And it's not easy. It's not easy at all. But um, I, strangely enough, though, don't think people listen to lyrics and words very much. I mean, they might catch a hook or something, but um,
I don't know. There's a lot of
I don't know what
people
they
in my
hear.
work that like, have you heard of this guy, this gal, or whatever? And it's just singer songwriter stuff. And it's
Yeah.
not like the guitar work is ever anything very interesting, and neither is the melody and a lot of that stuff. But they're telling a story, and that's what people like, the feeling that the storyteller tells them. It's usually like right on the nose, easy to get, you know.
I so just barely recently I've listened to a lot more lyrics of some pop stuff just because I've been into this YouTube channel. It's called Todd in the Shadows. I think I've sent you a couple of them.
Mm-hmm.
He's a funny guy. He just
Oh, he's
kind of
great. He does a really
goes into
good quality
detail about,
podcast. I love it.
yeah, he just kind of goes
Well, it's not a
into,
podcast, YouTube video. Sorry. Yeah.
yeah, but he goes into a lot of detail about really poppy songs and one-hit wonders and stuff like that, to more detail than I've ever thought about them, or probably most people ever thought about them. You know the hooks, but like you never really listen to all the lyrics, you know, and especially on like a one-hit wonder. And man, when you go deeper into so many of those lyrics, I'm like, holy shit! Like, how did you release that? You know, like
Right.
some of, but we've talked before in the past too that sometimes like what you're saying in the second verse for a little small second almost doesn't matter because like nobody might ever listen to it, but then a hook matters, you know. But man, some of them are so bad. I can't believe how bad they are sometimes.
Yeah,
Like,
you sent me the one where he was picking apart Closing Time.
oh
It's like a
yeah,
real popular 90s song.
and he ends up saying all
Closing
sorts of
time.
weird stuff in
One
that I
last
didn't
call for
realize he said.
alcohol. What's that?
He says there's a bunch of weird lyrics in that I didn't even realize were in there. There's like I can't remember what they were, but I remember there was a couple lyrics like, you got one chance to kind of say stuff here and you're dropping that line, you know, and
Right.
you just remember the hook. The one of the most recent ones that I watched that I just couldn't believe how bad the lyrics were, and I never knew it, and I've heard the song a million times, is that Train song, like, hey soul sister, da, da, da. The lyrics and the verses in that are so embarrassingly bad. Like they're so bad. Uh,
Huh.
you'd never notice unless you like paid close attention to them, but just not real rhymes, but that doesn't matter so much. It's just like it's also really shitty. It's just like you decided to go with that lyric for and I wish I had them off the top of my head, but watched the Todd in the Shadows video on it. Like, ugh. And boy, would I be embarrassed if I dropped some of that stuff for sure. But
Oh, I got
almost,
some embarrassing shit from the past, man. When I very first started playing bass in a band back when I was in my early 20s, some
yeah.
god awful lyrics,
Never dropped
man. No,
them.
they're so bad, dude.
You
That
never
shit.
released them
Oh,
though.
it's hilarious. What's that?
You never released
We
them.
recorded some of that shit, man.
Did you release it?
Yeah, we sold some CDs. I don't think anybody still has them. They're probably all in the
What was
garbage.
it? Like I remember the one about surfing was in there.
Oh God.
Tell that.
Oh shit. So this was like one of the first bands I was ever in, and we had a little falling out with our original drummer, and we were auditioning this new drummer, and so we were going over these songs, and we live in Utah, so we're not anywhere near the ocean. And this song that I had written,
You wrote it?
surfs up. Yeah,
I
man. I
thought it
wrote.
was the other guy
Yeah.
wrote it.
So it's like, surf is up, waves are big, time to wax up my board, you know, like, and we're going over this song with him, and he just stops in the middle of the song, and he goes, which one of you motherfuckers surfs? Oh, fuck, we started laughing so hard, and then we just never played that song again.
You want to know what?
And then
There's so many real pop songs that's true of, that they're saying some sort of crap, and it's just not true of their life in any way, shape, or
and
form.
it's all part of it. I mean, you're starting out as a musician, and you haven't found that honesty and just finding your own voice is the most important thing. So you're just like trying to do stuff, you know. And the funny part is we thought we were so fucking good. We're gonna get signed, you know what I mean? And it was it was a year, 2 years after I got back from a Mormon mission, so like I wasn't writing any like edgy lyrics in any way, shape, or form. I even had one song. I was like, "Why can't people stop for a moment, pick up a flower and adore it?" Like, lend a hand to
That sounds
a
like the Black
homeless
Eyed
man.
Peas, man.
Lend a hand to a
Black Eyed
homeless
Peas have
man.
shit lyrics like that.
Oh God.
endlessly.
But, fucking thought that one was going to the top, bro. That was going to be on there.
See, this
funny.
is one of the things that was good about me, but also hard about me is I remember being like a teenager and being like, I can't write a song, not because I couldn't like put chords together, it's because like I didn't have anything to say. And I think I was pretty
You've
good at
experienced
realizing.
zero of life, like you got
I think I was
nothing to
pretty good at
offer.
realizing I didn't have anything real to say. You know what I mean? I was like, I got nothing. Like maybe I'm in love. Nah, like, and I put chords together, and one of the old jokes in country music is to write good country music, you just got to learn three chords and go get your heart broken,
Yep.
and then you can write stuff. But it's true. I think it took the world beat me down a little bit to finally have some lyrics,
Mm-hmm.
and so I think I didn't really start dropping good lyrics until and that's one of the reasons why young child stars and all that stuff is no matter what, they just I don't think they can really write about anything
Well,
relatable to people because
which
like they
ones
haven't.
ever wrote their own music? Like the Jackson 5 wasn't all written by Michael. He just sang it. God, he
Oh,
had one song on the Jackson 5 and the lyrics was like, "Will you be there in the morning?" It's like fucking
yeah,
kid's 10, man. And
no,
he's singing about whether his lady's going to be there in the morning. Get the fuck out of
fair.
here. That's some creepy ass shit.
Yeah, they were buying songs from Motown people, and it's true that a bunch of those pop stars do buy their songs from people who maybe have. But there's some sense to me that I heard David Lee Roth talk about it one time that somebody asked him like, "How long does it take you to write a song?" And he's like, 5 minutes and 10 years. Like, what he means by that is like, it took 10 years to have all emotions and the trouble and all that stuff to have that little inspiration that pumps out in 5 minutes.
Right.
And I absolutely kind of agree with that. Like there's certain things about just 10 years of grind that's going to pump a song out that comes out pretty quick, but somebody who hasn't had that 10 years of grind isn't going to be able to pump that song out. I think it's true for comedians too, you know what I
Mm-hmm.
mean? Like
Oh,
but
dude, some of the best comedians ever had probably the most fucked up upbringings and
sure.
dysfunctional family lives and stuff like that.
Mm. You can always tell, like I can tell comedians, I guess I do get a little bit critical of comedians, not like not in a bad way. I mean critical of like if it's good or if it's bad. I'm kind of really focusing on what they're saying or not,
Mm-hmm.
and if it's something real or not. And I always notice that like when a comedian starts doing airline shit, you know,
Right.
that you've just been a comedian too long now. Like
Right.
your big pain in the world is travel. Travel
Right.
sucks. Sick of the airline, and your only real struggle in life is traveling on airlines.
Uh-huh.
And if you stop and listen, comedians have airline shit out the ass. Every comedian gets into airline shit.
Just
And
they don't struggle with anything else once they're successful enough. The only
mm,
struggle they have is the airport. And you're saying by the
the
time they
airport,
start joking
traveling,
around about that shit, it's time to tap out and stop listening because there's
or
nothing
go
new.
live a little bit of life and then come back in 5 years with a better, with a better hour of actual stuff that's
Have
not
you
just
ever
about
listened to any of Henry Rollins' stuff? He's
his
been going.
comedy.
I don't know that it's considered comedy.
He did a stand-up special on Comedy Central.
Yeah, but he goes and he just
Rant.
talks about things. Yeah, but the dude just takes off and goes all over the fucking world to all
Yeah,
these crazy places by himself. So he's just got so
North
many
Korea.
interesting things to talk about. My buddy Steve, when we went and visited him in San Diego, took us to it, and I was just like blown away.
You saw him
And
live?
oh yeah,
Oh, cool.
oh it was killer. The whole time. I mean, he speaks so
You have to
fast
watch this
and
stuff.
just so much information. And the whole time you're listening, I'm like, I gotta remember that. I gotta remember that. I gotta remember that. I gotta remember that. And by the end, I was like, I was 100% engaged the whole time, and I can't remember shit. Like that's
Really?
how. Oh
But all
man,
his
it was
stuff's
just so
online.
deep and so fast and like just
You
coming
can
at
watch
you,
a
man.
lot of his stuff online, and some like even like his old Howard Stern interviews are really good because he goes into detail on all that. But yeah, he went to North Korea and
He's been all over. He just goes and he goes by himself. And there's been
mhm.
times where his life's been in danger and just all this shit, but he's like
Dude,
such
he
a
had a guy.
badass.
He had one of his best friends shot in the head right next to him.
God damn, man. I can't even wrap my mind around it. It's
Yeah.
like some old West shit.
Hmm.
But but the point I'm trying to make is the guy is genuinely
Oh
interesting
yeah,
because
yeah.
he is immersing himself in like new experiences all the time.
He grinds too. I mean, I think grind is half of what makes you an interesting person. Like anything in this world, if you're too pampered and too lazy, you're gonna start slacking, you know.
Uh
And
huh.
you gotta grind. You gotta grind either as a musician or I'm not saying just physically, although he does physically too.
Right.
But somewhere in the world, you gotta be grinding, or you're gonna start as an artist pumping out shit. You're gonna start like the reason I bring up the comedians is because that's one of the most easy to see and see happen. Like I'll tell you, if you put on a comedian, they could have had old past good specials, but when they like start going into airline shit, just fucking turn it off. You know what I mean? Like
Dunsky.
there's endless amount of airline shit, and there's been several Netflix things I start on. I'm just starting to go, and they're right into airline shit right off the bat. I'm like, God damn it! And I just turn it off, you know,
So
because I
what is that thing for you in music? Like if you somebody shows you something, you hear it or whatever, you're just like, nah, I can't even give this a try because it bothers me so much.
well, I don't think it's the precise same thing as like you ran. Maybe they've ran out of stuff, but sometimes before you've ever said anything, you're not good at not doing this, even though you might have stuff if you look deeper. But like when you hear a just an out and out cliche in a word, you know what I mean, in a sentence. Like I was paying attention to some lyrics at the gym because that's one of the, I was asking one of our old episodes, like, where the hell am I hearing songs? You know, because I didn't even know where I was hearing pop music
Mm-hmm.
because everything else is so specialized. I realized the gym is one of the main places, and the reason I hear it is because I always have earphones on there, but I hear it going through the background. So just lately, I was lifting with a friend, so I didn't have earphones on, and we started listening to the lyrics of some of the stuff and looking them up, just messing around, and half of the stuff it's gonna say something like we're two steps forward and one step back, or you got to put one foot in front of the
That's some
other.
Paul Abdul shit right there, dude.
Well,
Take two
that one
steps
is, but
forward,
you'll hear it come up in other songs, man. You'll hear it come up 100 times.
but
Like
opposites
that's the one song.
attract, bro.
Yeah, well, it doesn't say the exact lines, like, but they'll say two steps forward and one steps back. It'll just
Right.
like say some of their songs going like. One of the major things in pop music is kind of like this fast talking, almost rap, like Jason Mraz or what's that redhead dude?
Oh, Ed Sheeran.
Ed Sheeran. They'll start just strumming the guitar and singing these fast lyrics like that's
Why do I even know who that guy is? Because of my
well, there you go.
kid, my 13
But
year old.
I promise you, if you listen to their lyrics, they're gonna drop in one song 85 of those. Like just two steps forward and one step back, and I go do, and that's how they drop. Because if you think about how many words they're saying in that rap style, if you were really putting out, think how long it would take to write. We have kind of shorter, more concise songs, and sometimes pumping out the best word for each one of those spots is a nightmare, you know?
Right.
And if you had to fill in 750 words because you're doing this fast talking shit, like think how much of a nightmare that'd be without just dropping to some cliches of,
Right.
you know, but if you really listen to it, it has every cliche in there. Like you can think of Paula Abdul, but that's because she used the cliche and put it on the hook. But 150 songs has that line, and
So
and
that's
there's
that's the thing that drives you nuts. You start hearing cliches and music, you're like, I gotta get out of here. I can't
yeah,
handle it.
yeah. One of my biggest pet peeves is when something starts out with "I never thought."
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. We've had this talk
I
multiple
brought that one
times.
up a lot. I hate that line. Like, what does that mean? What does that even mean?
I
It's a
never
deeper
thought.
thing.
This is the first time I thought this.
You can add it to anything. Like, I never thought you and I would be talking on a podcast at 12 o'clock on March.
I
Like
never thought I'd
it
have a
sounds like
drummer stop and ask which one of us motherfuckers surfs.
it's
I never
that's why
thought
it's
a
a deep,
drummer
but
would
it
ever
sounds like
question
it's
my
maybe a
lyrics,
deep.
man.
It sounds like it's maybe a deep thing, and it's saying absolutely nothing. It's sheer nothingness, and you want to know what? You'll hear it everywhere. Just like if you watch any sort of a movie trailer, somebody's gonna say that's what I'm talking about sooner or later, and then I punt TVs and have to buy new.
What if you switched it up a little bit and just said like, um,
Well, one of the best ways to avoid a cliche is to turn a cliche on its head. You know, you can
oh
like,
yeah, like
like the.
I think Scott McMicken from Doctor Dog does that a lot.
Hmm.
His lyrics
I think that's a
are
fun
ton
and
of
even good
that, and he
technique. You know,
nails it. Yeah,
if you have some sort of writer's block and you wrote a cliche, look at it and turn it upside down on
right,
purpose,
right.
and that's a way out of it. You know.
So a lot of times you're only a little bit of extra thought and attention to purposefully change the way you would say it from actually writing really good lyrics. You're stopping too early.
What's weird is like something about that top 40 music is I don't know if they go if I don't drop the cliche, it's not gonna pick up with the peoples, or if they're just like, yeah, fuck it, just drop it because it's just a top 40 song. But at the same time, I think like you're talking millions of dollars, like making a top 40 song. It seems like you could take an extra second to make a
Now you're
lyric a
just
little.
being lazy and throwing it in our faces. It's
It
not
seems
cool,
like you could
man.
take an extra second to make a throwaway lyric better.
Right.
If you're pretty sure this song might be a top 40 hit because of the hook and because of the production, you know. But to leave any part of the song so embarrassingly bad, and it's embarrassingly bad. Like I was that Todd I listened to a lot of them because I really like that Todd in the Shadows guy, and I just really kind of discovered him this week. So I pumped through a bunch of them, and he was going through that Blurred Line song.
The Blurred Line song.
I know you need it. You know,
Which
it's
song?
a Robin Thicke, Blurred Lines.
Okay. How's it go?
I know you want it. I know you need it. 'Cause she's a good girl. With Farrell. It's got Farrell in it and T.I. And
What are they talking about in that
they
song?
got sued for it because it ripped off a Marvin Gaye
What are they
beat.
talking about in that song? What does she want?
Everybody says it's rapey. Like they started getting in trouble for being totally rapey. And they dropped 2 music videos for it, man. And one music video is like the women in it are all completely naked. Yeah.
Where does one go to see that? I mean, just so I can avoid it, you know.
The YouTubes. No, I don't think the naked one's on the YouTubes. I don't know.
I'm
Um,
kidding, man. I have zero desire to see that.
but it's the exact same video. It's just in one video the girls are kind of in lingerie, and then the next video they're totally naked.
Oh, I thought
Um,
you were gonna say the next video they were all dressed like polygamists. I was gonna be like, I want to see that one.
they should have done that on
Just the
levels.
big
Like
long
this one's for the
dresses,
polygamous guys out
muumuus.
there because they all have the same color of dress on. I know you want it. We should do a polygamous version
Oh
video of that
God!
song.
And then
Um,
more polygamous babies get made after seeing that video.
but what's blowing I mean the hook of the song, whatever, you know, that's kind of obvious and pretty easy, but the other lyrics are so astoundingly bad. Like like there's one part where he goes, "If I said something, would you hug me? What rhymes with hug me?"
He said that in the song.
Yeah, yeah,
What
and I
rhymes with
think he's
hug me?
supposed to mean like F me is like rhymes with fuck, you know, but
It says that in the song.
it says that in the song, and it is the dumbest, worst thing
Oof.
ever. It's so stupid because like, are
Oof.
you hitting at the F word, or are you just saying that you forgot how to write a lyric? Like, what is wrong with you? You dipshit. You know, I mean, you're dropping this top, hit song, and you can't like you honestly have 2 lines to fill there, and that's what you put there. You know, like you could have done anything on earth.
They call me the hip hopopotamus. My lyrics are bottomless.
You hear me rocking this from the top of my esophagus. Uh,
uh, yeah.
but that's not a clear. The one I don't know who this was. I kind of tried to look it up. I heard it at the gym, and I'm sure it was dropped along with the Me Too movement. There's some lady singing, and she's like, "It's my body, my rules, and tonight I'm kissing you. My body, my rules, and tonight I'm kissing you." Like, what the hell is this? That's a hook? Like, it doesn't rhyme
That's
first. Like,
cringy, man. That's like super cringy.
the like okay, so think of how much that doesn't make sense. Like, so you're just announcing that it's your body and your rules because I mean it's total non sequitur. You know what I
And
mean?
tonight I'm kissing you, whether you like it or not. You don't have to consent. It's
Yeah, but beyond that
my
too is like
rules.
there's nothing about her body after that. It's just like she's kind of like virtue signaling, announcing that like it's my body and my rules, but rules and you doesn't rhyme, stupid, and that's your hook. And and what? It's just so bad. It's so astoundingly bad, and it's being played over at the gym. You know. And not only that, like the music of it sounds like a nursery rhyme, like "It's my body, my rules, and tonight I'm kissing you. My body, my rules." And like did a second grader write that? Like what the hell, you know?
Don't
And
ever do that again, man. Please.
no, do it.
Don't. No.
I,
It's terrible.
but he has the Todd Nassau's guy has one on the pretend not the pretenders the proclaimers. That's pretty good little one, but it's funny because he goes over a lot of one-hit wonders, and it turns out like a lot of one-hit wonders were really big in the country they came from, you know, and they had a long, bigger career there.
What about that stupid Yoko Ono song? Those are the worst lyrics. Kiss, 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 kiss me now. One kiss will do. Kiss, 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 kiss me now.
See, I'm not gonna be a dick like you. I'm gonna tell you
it's like,
to do that every day the rest of your life.
What the fuck?
I haven't listened to that song.
Oh, it's so bad.
I know she has terrible songs. I've listened to
terrible.
a couple minutes of some. But yeah, she sucks. But she never like hit top. She never really hit top 40 stuff. I don't think, man. Like so, there's top 40 stuff.
She's
that's
pretty famous.
shitty.
There's not a lot of people who don't know who she is.
She's famous, but like none of those songs like hit top tens. There are.
Oh, let's not forget the time that John Lennon was on live television with Chuck Berry, and she was there beating a drum and picked up the drum and went.
Everybody on earth needs to watch.
Oh my God! On that. What song were they playing?
They were playing one of Chuck Berry's songs.
Oh, it's like it doesn't even fit in the song in any way, shape, or form.
It's like a 60s rockabilly song, you know. And
oh, the best thing is the Bill, what's his name? Bill, the comedian.
Bill Burr.
Bill Burr's.
Listen to Bill Burr's breakdown of it. And
oh my God!
There's a YouTube video that splices it in after he talks about it. It's
so funny, man. But he's just going off. He's like, yeah, somehow you got yourself up on the stage. You couldn't just let John have this moment with the whole reason that he ever got into playing guitar in the first place. You got to be on stage, you bitch. And there you are, sitting over there with your fucking drum. Dong, dong,
and John's
dong,
just like
dong,
oblivious
dong,
to it.
dong, dong. And then she reaches down, grabs the mic. And you just see fucking Chuck Berry go.
You see Chuck Berry's eyes go. And the thing about that is, like, if you watch some of Chuck Berry's documentary stuff, the dude was
perfectionist.
He was not like just a chill guy. Like, let's be the, let's do whatever sort of music comes to us. There's some videos of him working with Richard from the Stones.
Keith Richards. Yeah, he punched Keith Richards in the face.
He was working with Keith Richards and Eric Clapton. He punched Keith Richards. There's like a scene of Keith Richards trying to get this line, and Keith Richards is not a slouch. Keith Richards plays the damn guitar, and he couldn't like get it exactly right off the bat how Chuck Berry wanted to do it, and he was yelling at Keith Richards, and Keith Richards is as big as Beatles in like a lot of ways, and he didn't give a shit. So what that means is that when his face looked like that when Yoko did that.
Oh yeah, and John
rage is real.
John just keeps playing like it didn't even happen.
Yeah, or just be like, oh shit, I'm getting my ass kicked after this. Like.
God damn, man. I wonder if they did fight after that. I bet Chuck Berry was
I bet
pissed.
you Chuck totally said something. Like just went straight backstage and said, "Oh, I'm never playing with that bitch again."
Right. It's so crazy. So is that a example of too much ego on her part?
Oh
Or she
yeah,
just wanted
she
to
was
fuck it
totally.
up and be in the limelight because she was jealous.
No, she wanted to drag attention to herself. I mean, that's half of like. I mean, even when John met her, she was doing some sort of like bullshit, like modern art type stuff, where she was the center of attention in the art, you know.
Mm-hmm.
And a lot of modern art is like that. Like, I am the distressed being who's being hung on a cross here on a street in front of people to see, and you can come spit on me. And they really do stuff like that, and it really is kind of like an egocentric, like make myself the center of the art type stuff, and
It's bizarre.
it does.
What's the worst lyrics you've ever heard in a song?
Oh,
I know mine.
I can't say. Go ahead, you say yours. We might
Dun,
have the
dun,
same
dun,
one.
dun, 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 dun. We're an American band. Dun, 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 dun. We're coming to your town. We'll help you party down. We're an American band.
But the
Do,
thing
do,
is
do,
that
do, 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 do.
so
Oh,
I agree it sucks, but on a level it can't be the worst because party down and come around like rhymes. Like there's stuff that's just as bad that doesn't rhyme and tries to rhyme.
yeah,
If
but
you know
they're
what I mean?
just saying American just to get all
I
those
agree it sucks.
patriotic people to be like, I love this band. They're
I'm
into
just talking about
America.
technicalities. Like it can be like on a level of 1 to 10, of 10 being absolute shit, it can be a 9, but like something that has non-rhymes that are trying to be rhymes has to technically be slightly lower.
Okay, so give me an example. What's your worst?
Well, I was gonna I was gonna give a local example, but I will refrain from doing that. Um, um,
I could think of another one. You remember that boy band when we were in elementary school?
which one? No, the back. No,
It wasn't
Duke.
Backstreet Boys. It was before the New Kids on the Block. They had
Uh-huh.
some shit lyrics, man.
Yeah.
Step one, we can have lots of fun. Step two, there's so much we can do. Step three, it's just you and me. Step four, I can give you more. Step five, don't you know
I
that the
didn't know that
time
lyric.
is right? Yeah,
I
fucking.
don't remember this song.
What's that?
I didn't. I remember some of their songs. I don't remember that song.
Ah, what a pile of shit. I couldn't get a girlfriend in third grade because of them fuckers.
Why? Because all the girls like them, or because you were trying to sing the
I remember
song?
I sent this girl a note in class that said, "Will you go out with me? Check the box, yes or no." And she checked no. I'm in love with Donnie.
Donnie Wahlberg. He ended up being a good actor too,
It's fucking
in
stupid.
certain roles. I know he ended up doing stupid cop shows too, but gosh, so I hate a million lyrics, as you know. But like now that I'm put on the spot to like think of the worst one, um,
I get knocked down, but I get up again. That one's
so you
pretty
should watch the
shitty.
Todd in the Shadows episode on that one too. I guess they were some trippy anarchist band that they're still together and they've been like together for like 30 years.
Really?
Yeah, yeah, they're tripped
Well,
out.
I don't even know the name of that band. But I remember
Mm,
having a conversation with the guy I worked with. I was probably 18, working at Easton, making arrows.
mm-hmm.
And the foreman there, we ended up talking about music, and he was telling me his favorite song ever was
Hmm.
that song.
Really?
Yeah. He's like, I just can relate to it. You know, you get knocked down, you get up again.
Back up
That's
again.
what you
I
do.
think they're because like the next line, that one I don't think so bad because they're joking and they're jokesters because like the very next line is pissing the night away, and they're talking about getting too drunk, falling down, and getting back up and drinking more. They're not talking about persevering. And
What about I will walk 500 miles
a
and
good
I
song.
will walk 500 more.
The play
Do you like that one?
That's what I was saying. Is the Proclaimers. I was just talking about them. They're really big in Ireland, and I think that's a good song. That's not a bad song. What's wrong with that song? Um, um,
They call me Mellow Yellow, quite
I
rightly.
hate that song. I do hate
They
that
call
song.
me
But
mellow
it's not
yellow,
again. That's not like a
quite
bad lyric.
rightly.
That's more just an earworm annoyance. You know what I mean? There's so many bad lyrics, man. Like I've actually been overloaded with them lately from listening to that Todd in the Shadows guy so much that like I'm not narrowing down on the 50 of them that I've heard recently that I just couldn't believe how stupid they were. I just barely posted on Facebook yesterday making fun of just out of nowhere that Informer song. Do you remember that one? The
Oh yeah.
Informer. And
I never knew what it
then
said, and I think
licky
you
boom
nailed it.
boom down.
I
And
lick you
I
boom
wrote
boom down. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, yeah.
I wrote the bullshit on Facebook just um, kind of like the phonetics
What the
of what it
fuck
sounds
was
like.
that song even about?
It was about getting arrested and him wanting to beat up the informer for getting him arrested. The song really talks about the
Why was he
cops
singing about
looking
I'm
because
gonna lick your bum bum down?
that's I guess it's some sort of he's a white dude from Toronto.
That guy?
And yeah, look him up. He looks like Vanilla Ice. And
Crazy.
um I guess he grew up in some projects where a lot of his friends were Jamaican,
Mm-hmm.
and that's Jamaican slang. So he's like, the best of Canadian reggae. And um he
I
he
didn't even
started
know that was
stealing.
a thing, man.
Yeah,
That's impressive.
he
That's
started
amazing.
that Todd in the Shadows dude pointed out that like he's continued making albums for the past the whole time. He's still making albums, and the Canadians will have award shows, and they'll have like Canadian reggae shows, and he keeps getting nominated but not winning. So he can't
Oh
even win in
man.
Canadian reggae.
Oh, that's so.
But um,
Oh, it's
he's
harsh.
it's some sort of slang for beating you up. I'm gonna beat up that informer
Okay.
but the song talks about the cops searching his anal cavity. It really does. And you're like, what the hell is this? And oh, there's so much nutty stuff, dude.
That
But
is pretty invasive.
yeah, but would you sing a song about it?
No, I wouldn't sing a song about it, but I'm saying if you have the ability to and the desire to keep something that badly and to hide it that badly that you're gonna stick it up your asshole.
Well, it's
You
drugs.
should get away with that. Like
Drugs
you
are
should get away
weapons.
with that, shouldn't you?
No,
You don't think
drugs are
so?
weapons.
You'd think cops should be able to check your butthole.
Yeah, I bet you people have died from butthole weapons. I'm sure of it. My little brother is a
I think there's some things you should
my
just
little
be like,
brother's a
"Hey,
prison
man, the guy hit it in his butthole. Like, what are we gonna do? I'm not going in there."
guard.
Like,
My little brother's a prison guard, man. They do everything. They figure out everything. They figure out a way to keep being gangsters no matter what. But damn, I wish I could think of like narrow down my worst lyric ever because there's so many bad ones. There's so many bad ones.
all I wanna
I'm gonna
do is rum a zoom zoom
I'm gonna
zoom
drop
into
it. I'm
boom
gonna drop
boom.
it.
Just
I'm
shake
gonna
your
drop
rump. You remember that one? All I wanna do is rum a zoom 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 into
That's cool.
boom boom.
That's
Just shake
they're
your
just
rump. The Rex and
that's
Effects, dude.
it's just dancing shit. You know what I mean? Like real bad lyrics is like you're trying to sound deep and you say something stupid, and I think you got to add something in for a false rhyme. So like I'm positive there's 100 examples of somebody trying to say something deep, actually saying something stupid, and doing a bad rhyme in the middle of it. And um, I bet you I could pull 100. I should. Like if we ever like do a vlog or something, like I'm gonna pull 100 deepities that were rhymed badly. Because that's my worst. My worst is you seem to dislike stuff that's just kind of trying to party, but it's just annoying. I dislike stuff that's trying to be deep and it's bad and it's not just bad, and then add in a level of bad technicality. Because like if something is like a really good line and it doesn't rhyme perfectly, I'm cool with it. You know what I mean?
Right.
But
What
I
about
will.
in like country music where they use the word? I don't know why it
Oh
bothers me, but when they
wait,
use the word
man.
daddy instead of like my old man, my pops, my
Oh
papa,
yeah, dude. Hands down, so many
daddy.
country songs are
That's
so bad, so many country songs are just overladen with I got my truck, I got my beer, I got my old girl,
Blue
and
jeans pickup truck down by the river drinking Bud
how many
Light
look at yourself in the
all
mirror.
night long,
There,
all
you
night
just saying
long,
something that I promise
all
we could
night
pull something
long.
very close to that we could probably accuse you of stealing. You know what I mean? Like I
Daisy
promise.
Dukes, cowboy boots. Ooh, I
We're
like
a country band
to
now.
sit in the truck and get a fuck
Listening.
on tonight with
Then you got to drop something.
my
Listening to
future
Will. Drop a
wife.
band that's actually good, so
Drinking
that you
Bud
seem like
Light.
you're. Drop a band that's actually good, so you seem like you're real. Like listening to Merle Haggard down by the lake. Like you don't listen to Merle Haggard, you queef. uh,
And if you
that'd be fun.
do,
That'd be fun to
you
get big
didn't
in
learn
country. Like
anything.
challenge all those guys to a fight. Just like Tom Green took burnt off all his money in that exact movie. He has this stuff where they gave him $1 million and he just pisses it all off, and then he just is like with a crazy eye goes, easy come, easy go, easy come, easy go. And it'd be fun to get big as a country artist and just go beat up all the other country artists and be, easy come, easy go.
Well, isn't that
Be
what
like,
kind of Wheeler Walker Jr. did? Isn't that his name? Wheeler Walker Jr.?
what?
He's like a country artist. He's phenomenal, and he's been at it forever and ever and ever. And for whatever reason, he never broke through. So then he just does this. He does this country album, man, and it's all just the dirtiest lyrics you could ever even imagine. And he's just like killing it.
Yeah, that's funny stuff.
He's like,
but man, all those other there's so many bands in the country world that are just
what was that?
killed country because country.
No,
country
back
used to
up.
be,
I think it glitched.
they killed
for a
country,
second.
man.
Oh, there's a lot of country.
I was just saying,
bands?
there's so many bands. There's so many bands that are just these bubblegum country bands, and they killed country, and most country stations are overrun with that shit. And
yeah, but there's people bringing it back.
it's coming back.
Sturgill Simpson,
those guys still just
Tyler
suck.
Childers.
But there was even like 20 years, like with Garth Brooks and Tim McGraw back in the day, even Kenny Chesney somewhat, like some of it was too bubblegum, but some of the bubblegum stuff was still okay. It was still pretty good, you know, but now it's gone straight.
What's your favorite Garth Brooks song, man?
Unanswered Prayers.
Sing it to me. How's that one go?
Just the other night at a hometown football game, my wife and I ran into my old high school flame. And as I introduced them, the past came back to me, and I couldn't help but think about the way things used to be. No, I'm joking. That's not the best one. But
what about Bring Me Two Pina Coladas, one for each hand. Let's set sail to Captain Morgan's. May we never reach dry land.
That's okay. But I like that's actually kind of more. You could almost like call it Jimmy Buffett country, you know. But it's because he has a couple songs like that. I love you. We count the ways like But the best one's Papa loved Mama, Mama loved man. Mama's in the graveyard, Papa's in the pen. You know.
Oh wow,
So,
that's a Garth Brooks tune.
yeah.
What about when the lightning strikes and the thunder rolls? What about that one?
Oh, that's a good song. Yeah, that's a good song. I know how to play that one. I do like Unanswered Prayers, although it's sappy. But
he didn't write his own music though, did he?
none of it. No. Cheyenne, something Cheyenne. There's a Footprints of Cheyenne or something like that. It's a really good song.
How did you know who Garth Brooks was? Like, were your parents rocking out to him?
No, I actually just started liking him. I bought one of the CDs and stuff because I just liked. There's one album where I liked almost every song on it, and I think it did have the
Thunder
Friends in
Thunder
Low
Rolls
Places on it. But
yeah.
It started with Thunder Rolls. It had two of a kind working on a full house. One of my favorite songs is because it was I used to play Wild Horses by the Rolling Stones. I can still play it, and it's a really good song. And he kind of did a play on that one, and it's called "Wild Horses Keep Dragging Me Away," and it's about being a rodeo man and pulling his heart away from his woman. And I like that song because of the inverse of the Wild Horses song that I
Mm-hmm.
also like. So it was like the two inverse things playing on each other, and it was on that album.
My
Yeah.
parents would just play Garth Brooks when we'd go on road trips.
Hmm.
So that's how I know all the songs. I
Yeah.
kind of like them. They're good. There were a
I know
few
all
Kenny
songs.
Rogers songs that I really liked, and he's kind of more
Yeah.
poppy country, right?
Randy Travis stuff, and then you know who's awesome, you know who's really cool, and I need to get into his music more, but he's a cool person otherwise, is Dwight Yoakam.
I don't know who
Dwight
that
Yoakam.
is.
He's an old country guy, but he's ended up doing a lot of films lately. And it's kind of a funny guy because if you saw him in films, you'd think he was just this kind of crusty old guy, and he'll play it and he'll act it up, and but he's a good old country star. He's cool, and Travis Tritt was pretty good, and
I don't know that one.
what?
Oh, Billy Ray Cyrus was the worst. Oh my God.
You
Talk
know
about
he's
diarrhea.
Miley Cyrus's dad.
I know. Do you remember that one song? Could have
The
been
only one.
me standing there with you. It could have been me. And
I only
my
remember
dreams
the.
coming true. But those dreams move on if you wait too long. Took me till now to see. Could have been me.
Ugh.
It's like a circular song. Just, so annoying.
I
I ran around with this
I only
country kid
remember.
and he just
I only
fucking
remember
listened to
his.
it all the time. Terrible.
I only remember his mega hit. I only
Which one was
remember
that one? I thought that
"Achy
was
Breaky
it.
Heart."
Ah, I forgot about that. Sing
Don't
that one.
tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, just won't take it all the same. And if you tell my heart, my achy breaky heart, might blow up and kill this man. But that one got big almost more because of the dance than the
Right.
song. There was an easy.
It had
there
its
was
own
an easy
dance,
shuffle. Yeah, there was
like
an
the
easy
electric
line.
slide.
Yeah, it had a line dance to it, and it was easy. And anytime you make a line dance easy, it brings people in. Because some line dances are hard as shit, man.
Oh yeah.
Yeah,
You gotta really focus on your feet and not the girl in front of you, you know, or the guy, depending
And
on
I
who
can't
you're dancing with.
do that.
Yep.
Sorry, lady. I'm looking at you. Don't tell me.
Like, oh, look at my feet.
Break your heart. um,
Oh shit.
but a couple other ones. I mean, I know we're missing. Chris Ledoux is awesome. Another guy from the '80s, died pretty young. George Strait's okay.
Is this where we're falling short as a band, man? Like maybe if we had a dance to one of our songs.
We could do that, but you
that
want
would
to know what
be
started happening lately? I saw it in Colorado, and I never seen it before. They're starting to be rap line dances.
really.
And yeah, there's a few of them. And they'll even like start explaining in the rap like how to dance. It'll be part of the hook. You'll be like, to the left, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the right. And we were at this bar, and the whole bar started dancing it. The whole bar, and it was a rap song.
Kind of
can't even
sounds
show.
fun, but a little bit
Can't
weird.
think. Well, some of those ladies were so pretty. I was okay with it, but yeah, I'd never
She's
seen
so hot, she's making me sexist.
yeah.
Bitch.
That's from some. Who is that
That's
from?
Flight of the Conchords.
Oh yeah.
It's like right before he starts that song, he's like, she's so hot. She's like
I
a
can't remember.
curry. She's so
I
hot.
could. I won't be able to pull it off the top of my head. I could send them to you in a bit, but and they even have like YouTube videos showing you how to do the dance and stuff. But they're total rap songs. They're total
Huh.
rap song, and the whole damn bar knew them. And
Really?
and I was there with Davey, and we were like, "What is going on?"
Well,
here?"
they probably just play it if it has instructions on how to do the dance.
Yeah, it has instructions. Well,
I'm
there's
just
YouTube.
saying, I bet most people learn the dance from, maybe some people learned it on the internet and did it, and then they're just
For sure.
following it and listening to the thing. Like,
If
I
you
don't
were
think
just
all those
listening,
people are like studying at home to do this dance. They're probably just doing it while they're out drinking and shit.
yeah, if you listen to the lyrics, it's not enough to know the dance. It sounds like it's telling you the whole dance, but it's not enough. It's kind of just like to the left, to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the right, now back, and um, they're doing extra stuff to it, and
Give
uh,
yourself a fucking heart attack. That would rhyme with that. You know what I'm saying?
did I lose? Did I? Okay, I'm looking on.
What are you doing?
Did you lose me? Or are you seeing it?
No, you're still here. What are you doing?
I'm looking to see if I can look up what the name of the song is. It might be the. Oh, come on, brain. BIC wobble, cha cha slides.
The
Um,
cha-cha slides, huh?
right foot, left foot, hip hop line dance. Teach me how to doogie. There's the Cupid shuffle. That's the one. That's the one that. I'll play a
The
second of it.
Cupid's shuffle.
Making six figures is you got to break it down
You
into
do
simple
have to break it
steps,
down. Simple
because or else
steps.
you get overwhelmed. And the simple
You could
steps
get
To
overwhelmed.
make 6 figures?
$8,000 a month.
8,000 a month.
We're
That's
here in
it.
downtown Lafayette where everyone's excited about the new dance that's sweeping the nation. It's called the Cupid Shuffle.
See, they make a video. You got to talk over it or it'll get shut down.
Let's hear it.
Yeah, it's special. And I'm telling you, the whole bar got up and danced to this. See, and then the song's just like they're gonna explain it to him. You see, it's a bunch of rap guys, you know. Justin's already doing. That's the song. Yeah, there's a couple of them. This
Do
is the
you?
name I remember.
What is he saying? Do you down?
What's that?
What was he saying? I'll do you down.
Down, down, do you down. Bip, 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 bip. Yeah. It kind of shows in this video how to does to learn full shuffle all the way through.
Whoa, they speed it up.
I just moved it up because if we left it playing the whole time, it could get bot removed. We gotta
Well,
talk over it too. But
just shut it off.
uh,
I get the idea, man. It's kind of an
I
annoying song,
never
though,
saw it
isn't
come.
it?
I had no idea. What?
It's kind of an annoying song, I think.
Well, I think any line dance song has just like Achy Breaky Heart was like something about the more annoying a song you make, the easier it is to line dance to.
The easier it is to focus on your feet.
I guess. But they all have to have like that bouncy
Because if it
booty.
was really interesting, you'd just want to dance however you felt like it. But you're trying to accomplish something.
Yeah, but there is something to. I'll tell you what. If you were a single dude and suddenly all the women got up and danced that in line, and you knew how to dance it, it'd be a way to go meet the girl for sure. You know.
Yeah, I think you're right. Girls love dancing. I don't know about all of them, but some of them do. I know if I learned how to line dance with Kate, she'd be super stoked. I've just been too lazy to do it. I
Or if you
tried.
learn how to do like full on salsa dancing or country dancing, where you're doing the whole.
I think
twirl
country
around.
dancing seems a little bit more
My
useful.
ex-wife tried to get me into doing that stuff, and I was just, oh.
Well,
But
there's a lot of times where you find yourself in a bar or whatever and country music's on. So if you know how to country line dance, I think it's the most useful one. It's going to, you'd actually use it often. Whereas salsa,
Well,
you'd have to like go to a salsa bar and do it. And then everybody's going to be like,
well,
oh,
if
they
you know
think
how
they're
to
good
do
at
it,
salsa?
if you know how to do it, it'll be a damn easy way to meet some girls for sure. Because there's girls who know how to do it.
Well, I don't need to
But
meet girls. I just need to,
well, talking to the
bring
single
some spice
there,
and romance
or
into the
just cheap.
relationship, bro. You know what I'm saying?
But so a few weeks ago, I was out at a bar with Davey. It was one of the first times in forever that we ended up at a bar with music and dancing. We were with this other friend of mine that I hadn't seen in years, and there was rap music on and all this old stuff. And there was this dude out there who knew country dancing, and it wasn't country music, but he lined up all sorts of girls and country danced with them to the hip hop. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
It was working for him, obviously. But I hated that stuff. My ex tried to take me to lessons and stuff, and I hated it.
I can't imagine
But
you
she,
dancing at all. Like,
I was just talking to Davey about this the other night that like if you wanted to go through this whole life without dancing for once, you won't be allowed to. Sooner or later, somebody's gonna make you have to dance. You got to get up and dance. Like, no, I don't want to dance. And I remember at somebody's wedding, and I was just sitting there, and somebody came behind and said, "You got to go up and dance." And it was just like me sitting there, and somebody else was like, there was like, "Why do I got to go dance? The bride will be really upset if you don't go dance." And it was like some old man or something. And I was like, "What are you talking about? Why? Like, why? Why do I got to do a dance?" She wanted people dancing at her wedding, and you're not dancing. Like, what is this? Like, why am I getting singled out? What, you know? And,
Do you
but
think
that
you
same
would
night,
have, if
some
somebody
girls
had
tried.
taught you how to dance maybe when you were younger, it wouldn't have been as big of a deal?
No, it's just irritating. But I also wouldn't say that I do know how to dance. Like, I could go.
No,
I could
you
go.
don't.
I do.
You
Like, I
know
could
how
go.
to dance. Like
Yeah.
dance.
Well, my ex and I went to a bunch of country lessons and salsa lessons, so I know a little bit of how to do the twirls and the steps. And but I know how to, like, if I just be on the dance floor, just like bob the head to the beat. Like, most white guys don't know to keep up with the beat. They dance to that old Chappelle joke. The white guy dances to the guitar, and they're like, but all you gotta do is find a beat and just. It's not that hard to seem like a lackluster dancer, you know what I mean? But I hate it. Like, I don't want to go do it, you know.
I could see you tap dancing. I could see that being your thing.
So, well, there was a long time. I think I still know it, but like, I memorized a bunch of Michael Jackson dances and could do them for sure.
Yeah, man.
I
Did you
used to know the
grab your
whole
junk
dance.
too when you were doing
I
it?
used to know the whole Thriller dance.
Really?
The whole Thriller. I learned it and
I
did
never
it
learned
with
that
like
one. I watched that video a whole bunch though.
did a joke and danced the whole thing or something.
So how long have we been friends and I didn't know you could dance?
Well, that's
It's been a lot of
exactly it.
years.
I don't dance, and if people try to force me to dance, I want to force them into a gulag. But I'm just kidding. I can dance, but I can line dance. I mean, I know the achy breaky heart. I think I could do it right now. I mean, the achy breaky heart's easy,
Go do it.
but there's
Do
some
it.
other ones like the
Get that
electric
camera on
shuffle.
yourself and do it.
I know the electric shuffle,
Do
but
it.
that
Do
Cupid
it.
shuffle looked pretty easy. I was like, dang, I wish I knew this. I'd go and dance with those girls over there. And
Okay, next
before long, I'll be in
podcast
love.
episode,
I'd be
we're
in
gonna
love
set
with
up a
all the
camera and
girls.
have you prove that you can do those
I'll
dances.
just do straight 2 hours of the Cupid shuffle, you know.
With a
To the left, to
cigar
the
in your
left,
mouth.
to the left, to the left, to the right, to the right, to the right, to the right.
2
So
hours.
I sit there doing that for. I'll do it with a cigar in my mouth. That'll be one of
Okay.
our tube clips.
You do
I
that for
already
2
promised.
hours, I'll give you $100.
I promise. In the
2 hour
future, I'll
video,
do
you
a
have to
whole-
release it though.
I'm gonna do a whole P90X exercise on it with a cigar in my mouth.
I don't think you could do it.
I can.
I think it'd make you sick.
So, be worth the YouTube video. But I need a mustache. I can't do that one unless I got a mustache.
Like a big burly mustache.
It needs to be a burly mustache.
Like
If
a
I have a big
Burt
burly
Reynolds,
mustache,
Burt Reynolds
Yeah.
stash.
if I have a big burly mustache, there's no way I can't do that one. You know. But
Dude, the guy's calling me from that venue. Wants to know if I have a second to chat.
right now,
Yeah.
well, let's call this
You want to
ego.
call
Let's
it
wrap
a
it back up. Ego's getting bad. Oh, we wrapped it back up so smoothly.
All right, that'll work.
right,
Take
cool.
care, buddy.
All right, me too.
If you enjoyed this episode of The Swinging Lights, then please take a moment and head on over to iTunes and just give us 5 stars. iTunes works off of algorithms, so if you want to help us out, that's the way to help us out the most. If you don't like the podcast, just unsubscribe. It's that easy. We have a website, theswinginglights.com, and we just recently this weekend uploaded 5 tracks off of our new album. The album's going to be a 10-track album entitled Trouble with the Truth. We just got the master copy, getting ready to send that out to be pressed to vinyl. But if you want to get a sneak peek, head on over to our website, theswinginglights.com, click on the music tab, and you can hear a few tracks off of the album. Once again, thank you so much for listening. Thank you all for your support, and I hope your day is lovely.
trouble, all the drinking, she never could get clean. I have my own skeletons, but I have no closets to hide them in. Are we what we are within? Or only ever only our actions? Trouble sleeping.